At my wife's funeral, no one came but me. I stood alone beside the casket in the empty chapel, holding a single white rose I'd bought at the gas station on the way there. The funeral director kept checking his watch. He'd prepared seating for 50. We used one chair. My son Ryan texted that morning, "Dad, I have a major presentation. Mom would understand." My daughter Madison sent a voice message while I was driving to the service. "Daddy, I'm so sorry, but I have this brand partnership event I literally cannot reschedule. You know how Mom always supported my career." Linda would have understood, they said. Linda, who spent 32 years raising them, who sat through every school play and soccer game, who took night shifts as a nurse so they could go to private schools. Linda, who asked for them with her last breath. They didn't come. As the story unfolds, take a moment to hit the hype button, subscribe, and write in the comments. Would you forgive them or walk away? I sat in that chapel for an hour after the service ended, staring at nothing. The director finally approached and gently touched my shoulder. "Sir, we need to prepare the room." I drove home in silence. Our apartment, my apartment now, felt enormous and suffocating at the same time. I moved through the rooms like a ghost, touching Linda's things, her reading glasses on the nightstand, her coffee mug in the sink, the blanket she'd been knitting, needles still attached. That night, I dreamed of her. She stood in our bedroom doorway, backlit by some light I couldn't see. She looked young, the way she'd looked when we first married. Her voice was clear. "Michael, listen to me. Get out before sunrise. Pack what matters and leave." "Linda, I don't understand. They're coming. Get out. Now." I woke at 4 in the morning, heart hammering. The apartment was dark and silent. I lay there for a moment, feeling foolish. It was just a dream. Grief playing tricks. But something made me get up, some instinct, some animal sense of danger. I packed a small bag, photos of Linda, my father's watch, my laptop and external hard drive with all my files, my wallet, documents, a few changes of clothes. I moved quietly, though I didn't know why. At 5:30, I left. I didn't know where I was going. I just drove, watching the city wake up around me. At 7, I returned. The apartment door was unlocked. I stepped inside and my stomach dropped. The living room had been stripped. Linda's jewelry box, gone. The television, gone. My tools from the garage storage, gone. The closet stood open, half empty. On the kitchen counter, I found a note in Ryan's handwriting. "Dad, we thought it would be easier for you if we helped clear out some of Mom's things. We took what we needed. The apartment is too big for you anyway. We'll talk soon about next steps." Next steps. I stood there, holding that note, and something inside me went very cold and very quiet. They came to their mother's funeral home. Not to mourn, to rob. My phone buzzed. A text from Madison. "Morning, Daddy. So exciting news. Ryan and Ava's wedding is next month. Sent you an invite. It's going to be gorgeous. Love you." I looked at the empty apartment, at the note, at the text, and I started to laugh. It wasn't a happy sound. The wedding invitation arrived by courier the next day. Thick cream cardstock with gold embossing. "Ryan Rourke and Ava Collins request the honor of your presence. The Waterford Estate. Black tie required." I held it in my hands, reading it 3 times. They robbed my home while Linda's body was still warm, and now they wanted me to dress up and smile for photos. I spent the next 2 weeks in a strange, focused calm. I stayed in the apartment, though it felt like a crime scene now. I documented everything they'd taken. I made lists. I took photographs of the empty spaces. I also started going through old files, construction contracts from my 30 years as an engineer, property records, bank statements, insurance documents. I'd always been methodical about paperwork, a habit from the job sites where one missing signature could halt a $1 million project. Linda used to tease me about my filing cabinets. "Michael, you keep everything," she'd say. Now I was grateful. I found the deed to the apartment, purchased in 1998, paid off in 2019. My name only. Linda and I had kept it that way for tax reasons. She'd owned our rental property upstate. Clean, legal, separate. Ryan had no claim to this place, none at all. But according to his note, he was making plans for next steps. The wedding day arrived. I rented a tuxedo. I looked at myself in the mirror and barely recognized the man staring back. I'd lost weight. My face was harder, older. My eyes were different. The Waterford estate was exactly the kind of place Ryan would choose. All glass and marble, with a view of the harbor. Probably cost more than I'd made in 5 years. I arrived exactly on time. Not early, not late. The ceremony was outside on a manicured lawn. 200 guests, maybe more. I recognized almost no one. These weren't family friends. These were Ava's people. Boston money, old money, the kind of people who summered in the vineyard and wintered in Aspen. I sat in the back row. Ryan never looked in my direction during the entire ceremony. The reception was in the main ballroom. Crystal chandeliers, ice sculptures, a 12-piece orchestra. I found my seat at a table near the kitchen doors, table 16, as far from the head table as possible, while still being technically inside the same room. I sat alone at that table. The other seats had place cards, but no one ever came to claim them. I watched Madison work the room like a professional. She'd brought her phone on a gimbal stick, filming everything. "Hey, beautiful people. So this is my amazing brother's wedding. Look at this venue. Look at these florals." She caught my eye once and waved, then turned away without coming over. Dinner was served. Speeches were made. Ryan talked about building a life with Ava, about family and legacy and future. He still hadn't looked at me. Then came the cake cutting, the first dance, the champagne toasts. I was planning to leave quietly when Ava's father, Trevor Collins, took the microphone. "I just want to say a few words about family," he began. His voice was smooth, practiced. "When my daughter told me she was marrying Ryan, I did what any father would do. I looked into him." Polite laughter. "And I found a young man of integrity, a young man who values family, who understands the importance of building something lasting. Ryan comes from good stock. His father Michael worked construction for 30 years. He gestured in my direction. Heads turned. I felt 200 pairs of eyes land on me. Hard work, honest work, and now Ryan is taking that foundation and building something even greater. That's what family legacy is about. Taking what you're given and making it into something more. More applause. Trevor smiled. Ryan smiled. They were praising me while simultaneously making it clear I was the past, the foundation, the thing they'd built upon and moved beyond. I stood up. I don't know why. I had no plan. But something in Trevor's smile, in the way he'd used me as a prop in his speech, made me stand. The room went quiet. "Thank you, Trevor," I said. My voice carried in the silence. "That was very touching." Trevor's smile tightened. "Michael, please, sit." No. I want to add something. You talked about family legacy, about integrity." I looked at Ryan. "Son, I just have one question. When you came to the apartment last Tuesday while I was burying your mother, did you take the photo albums or just the jewelry?" The silence changed quality. Became sharp. Ryan's face went red. "Dad, this isn't the time. You're right, this isn't." I looked around the room. "I apologize for the interruption. Congratulations to the happy couple." I started walking toward the exit. I made it maybe 10 steps before Ava's voice cut through the room like a knife. "Stop him." I turned. She was standing now, champagne glass in hand, face flushed with anger or wine or both. "You want to make a scene?" she said. "Fine. Let's have this conversation. Everyone here knows Ryan comes from nothing. We've been generous, welcoming you into our family. But there are expectations. Ryan told me about your apartment. That place in Southie, it's too much space for one person. She walked toward me. The orchestra had stopped playing. We need that apartment, she continued. Ryan and I are starting a family. You're alone now. It makes sense for you to downsize and for us to take over the property. We've been patient, but Ryan says you're being stubborn about it. The ballroom was absolutely silent. 200 people watched us like we were dinner theater. We've already looked at assisted living facilities, Ava continued. Her voice was steady, reasonable, like she was discussing a business merger. Very nice places. You'd have community, activities, healthcare on site. Ryan has the paperwork ready. All you need to do is sign over the deed and we'll handle everything else. She reached into her small purse and pulled out a key ring. She held it up. Let it catch the light. These are Ryan's childhood house keys. You kept them, didn't you? Sentimental. That's sweet. She smiled. But now we need your keys, the apartment keys, tonight. This is a family matter, and family helps family. She extended her hand, palm up, waiting. Every eye in the room was on me. Trevor Collins stood behind Ava, arms crossed. Ryan sat frozen at the head table, looking like he wanted to disappear. Madison had her phone up, filming. I looked at Ava's outstretched hand, at the expectant faces, at my son, who couldn't meet my eyes. No, I said quietly. Ava's smile didn't waver. I'm sorry? I said no. That apartment is mine. I'm not signing anything, I'm not giving you anything, and I'm leaving now. I turned toward the door. The slap caught me across the right cheek, hard enough to snap my head sideways. The crack of it echoed through the ballroom. For a moment, I couldn't process what had happened. I touched my face. My cheek was hot, stinging. Ava stood with her hand still raised, breathing hard. How dare you embarrass us like this, after everything we've done for you? You ungrateful. That's enough. The voice came from the entrance to the ballroom, deep, carrying authority. Everyone turned. A man stood in the doorway. Late 60s, maybe 70, but still powerfully built. Gray hair combed back, expensive suit, no tie. He had the kind of face that looked like it had been carved from granite and only gotten harder with age. Nick Romano. I hadn't seen him in 15 years, but he looked exactly the same. Maybe a little grayer, maybe a few more lines around the eyes. He walked into the ballroom like he owned it. 2 younger men in suits followed him, staying a respectful 3 steps behind. The crowd parted without being asked. Nick stopped in front of me, looked at my reddening cheek, then looked at Ava. Did you just strike this man? His voice was soft, curious. Ava lifted her chin. This is a private family matter. You need to leave. A private family matter. Nick smiled. It wasn't a friendly expression. Trevor, come here. Trevor Collins had gone very pale. He approached slowly. You know who I am? Nick asked. Yes, sir. Good. You know the Collins Building project on Atlantic Ave? The one that's been held up for 18 months? Trevor nodded. It's going to be held up for another 18 months, maybe longer. Permits are tricky things. Code enforcement is very thorough these days. Nick paused. Unless you'd like to reconsider how you speak to my friend Michael here. He said it casually, like he was discussing the weather. Trevor's face had gone from pale to gray. There's been a misunderstanding. Yes, there has been. Nick looked at Ryan. You, Ryan? Yes. Your father ever tell you about the Copley project, 2010? Ryan shook his head. Building collapse. 2 workers trapped under steel beam. Your father went in while everyone else ran out. Spent 4 hours in there with them, keeping them calm, working out how to shift the load without bringing down the rest. One of those workers was my nephew. Nick let that sit for a moment. Your father saved his life. Risked his own to do it. I told Michael that day that I owed him. Whatever he needed, whenever he needed it. He looked around the room. Seems like today he needs something. He turned to me. Michael, what do you need? I looked at my son, at Madison, still filming, at Ava, frozen with her mouth open, at Trevor, calculating odds he didn't like. I need to leave, I said. That's all. Then let's leave. Nick gestured toward the door. I walked. He followed. His two associates followed him. Behind us, someone started talking, trying to restart the party music, trying to smooth over what had just happened. Outside, in the cool evening air, Nick stopped beside a black Mercedes. "Where are you staying?" he asked. "My apartment. Where else?" "Not anymore, you're not. Not tonight. They know where you live and they're angry." He pulled out his phone, texted someone. "I've got a place you can use. Secure building, doorman. Stay there tonight. Figure out your next move tomorrow." "Nick, I can't." "You can, and you will. You cashed in the favor, Michael. Let me pay it." He looked at me seriously. "What do you want to do about this? Really do?" I thought about Linda's empty chair at the funeral, about coming home to a stripped apartment, about Ava's hand, extended and demanding, about Ryan's silence. "I want them to understand what they've done," I said. "I want them to feel it." Nick nodded slowly. "Then we'll make sure they do, but legally, carefully. You're not going to jail for these people, understood?" "Understood." He handed me a key card. "Address is on the back. Car service will take you. Get some sleep. Call me tomorrow." The Mercedes pulled away. Another car appeared, a town car with a patient driver. I got in. We drove through Boston's lit streets, away from the wedding, away from my children, away from everything I thought I knew about my life. My cheek still burned where Ava had struck me, and somewhere deep inside, beneath the hurt and shock, something cold and focused was beginning to crystallize. The apartment Nick provided was in a high-rise in the financial district. 30th floor, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the harbor, 2 bedrooms, modern kitchen, furniture that looked like it had never been used. I stood at the window for a long time, watching the city lights. My phone buzzed constantly, Ryan calling, Madison texting, even Trevor Collins trying to reach me. I turned it off. I slept deeply that night, better than I had since Linda passed. When I woke, sunlight was streaming through the windows, and I felt clear-headed for the first time in weeks. I called Nick. "How are you feeling?" he asked. "Ready to work." "Good. Meet me for coffee. 11 o'clock. I'll text you the address." The cafe was in the North End, small and quiet. Nick was already there, sitting in the back with a newspaper and an espresso. I ordered coffee and joined him. "First things first," he said without preamble. "What do you actually own?" "The apartment in Southie, paid off, my name only. Linda had the rental upstate, but she left that to the kids in her will. I didn't contest it." "Smart. What else?" "Savings. About 80,000. Pension from the union. Social Security in a few years." "Debts?" "None." Nick nodded approvingly. "Okay. So you're secure. They can't actually take anything from you unless you sign it over, or they somehow get guardianship. Which they won't, because you're clearly competent." He sipped his espresso. "But they're going to try. They've already started." He pulled out his phone and showed me a screenshot. It was from Madison's Instagram, posted last night. A photo of the wedding, everyone smiling. The caption, "Family is everything. So grateful for this day, even though Dad's grief over Mom made him have a difficult moment. Mental health matters. Sending love and light to anyone struggling." I stared at it. 300,000 likes, thousands of comments. People saying how brave she was, how hard it must be, how they hoped I got help. "She's reframing the narrative," Nick said, "making you the problem. The unstable widow who caused a scene. Clever. She's not done either. Look at this." Another screenshot, this time from a private Facebook group. Someone named Emily Reed had posted, "Does anyone know a good elder care attorney?" asking for a friend whose family member is showing signs of cognitive decline and refusing help. "Who's Emily Reed?" I asked. "Madison's PR partner. This is coordinated." Nick put his phone away. "They're building a case for you being incompetent. If they get enough documentation, enough witnesses, they can petition for conservatorship. Then they control everything." I felt something twist in my stomach. Can they actually do that? If they're persistent and you give them ammunition? Maybe. It's hard, but not impossible. He leaned forward. "That's why you need to be smarter than them, cleaner than them. Every move you make has to be documented and legal." I don't even know where to start. Yes, you do. You're an engineer. You built buildings. Same principle. You need a foundation. You need to understand the structure you're working with before you can take it apart. He pulled out a business card and slid it across the table. "Detective Aaron Hale, Boston PD, but he does private consultation work. He's clean, by the book, but he knows every legal way to gather information. Talk to him. Tell him everything. He'll help you understand what you're dealing with." I took the card. "Why are you helping me like this? I told you I owe you." "You sent your regards at Linda's funeral. The flowers, the card. That was enough." Nick's face softened slightly. "Michael, when my nephew came out of that building alive, his mother hugged me and cried and thanked God. You know what I was thinking? I was thinking that if he'd passed away in there, it would have been because I put him on that crew, because I gave him that job. I would have carried that forever." He paused. "You didn't just save his life. You saved mine. So no, flowers weren't enough. This isn't enough. But it's a start." I met with Detective Hale that afternoon in his office, a small space above a sandwich shop in Dorchester. He was younger than I expected, maybe mid-40s, with careful eyes and an economy of movement that suggested military background. I told him everything: the funeral, the robbery, the wedding, the slap, Madison's Instagram post. He listened without interrupting, occasionally taking notes on a yellow legal pad. When I finished, he sat back and studied me. "Mr. Rourke, I'm going to be direct with you. What you want is revenge. That's normal, that's human. But revenge in the legal sense requires proof, strategy, and patience. Are you prepared for that?" "Yes." "Good. Because if you go after your children sloppily, if you make accusations you can't prove or do anything that looks vindictive or unstable, you play right into their hands. They're already painting you as incompetent. Don't help them. So what do? You build a case. Just like a construction project. You gather your materials, you document everything, you build a structure that can't be knocked down." He tapped his pen against the legal pad. "Tell me about their lives. What do they do? How do they make money?" Over the next week, I became a student of my children's lives, in a way I'd never been before. When they were young, I'd known their teachers' names, their friends, their favorite foods. Then they grew up, moved away, and became strangers who called on holidays. Now I studied them like an engineer studying blueprints. Ryan worked at Bexley Capital Management, a mid-sized investment firm downtown. He was a senior analyst on track for VP. His LinkedIn profile was pristine: Boston College, Harvard MBA, 3 promotions in 5 years. His company bio emphasized his commitment to excellence and family values. I pulled up every interview he'd ever done, every article that mentioned him. In a piece for Boston Business Journal from 6 months ago, he'd talked about work-life balance and the importance of family legacy. "My father worked in construction his whole life," he was quoted as saying. "He taught me that you build something brick by brick. That's how I approach investing. Steady, reliable growth. It's about creating security for the next generation." He'd used me as a character reference for his career, the humble immigrant son story, except I wasn't an immigrant, and I'd been born in Boston. I kept digging. Madison was more visible. Her Instagram had 800,000 followers. She posted daily, sometimes multiple times, fitness routines, smoothie recipes, outfit of the day, sponsored content for athletic wear, supplements, skincare products. Her engagement rates were good. Her comment sections were full of heart emojis and people asking where she bought things. But when I looked closer, something didn't add up. She'd done a charity run in April, raising money for a local children's hospital. Her post about it showed a big ceremonial check. Raising $50,000 for kids in need. Link in bio to donate. I found the actual charity's website. Their donor list was public. Madison Reed, that was her professional name, she'd dropped Rourke, had donated $500, not $50,000. $500. I screenshotted everything. I found more. A brand partnership with a wellness company where she promised a percentage of sales would go to environmental causes. The company's actual charitable giving page showed no such partnership existed. Another screenshot. Detective Hale had been right. The materials were everywhere. I just had to gather them. Trevor Collins was harder to research, but not impossible. His company, Collins Development Group, had been around for 25 years. They built commercial properties, mostly in Greater Boston. Public records were available at City Hall. I spent an entire day going through them. Collins Development had been cited 14 times in the past decade for safety violations. Most were minor, missing permits, delayed inspections, but 3 were serious. In 2019, a worker had been injured on one of their sites when scaffolding collapsed. The inspection report cited improper installation and inadequate safety oversight. The case had settled out of court. I made copies of everything. On Thursday, Hale called me. "Can you come to the office?" When I arrived, he had papers spread across his desk. "I did some checking on your son's finances. Public records only, nothing illegal. Property records, corporate filings, that kind of thing." He pointed to a document. "Ryan and Ava bought their house in Brookline last year. $2.4 million. They put down 30%. That's $720,000 in cash." I stared at the number. "Ryan doesn't have that kind of money." "No, he doesn't. His salary is public because Bexley is partially owned by the state pension fund. He makes $200,000 a year. Good money, but not $700,000 in cash money." Hale pulled out another paper. "The down payment came from a wedding gift. From you." I know, but according to the mortgage application, you gifted them the money. There's even a gift letter, signed by you." He showed me. There was my signature. Except it wasn't. It was close, very close, but I could see the differences. The way the R in Rourke looped wrong, the slant of the M in Michael. "That's forged," I said. "Yes, but proving it is tricky. It would require handwriting analysis, and they'd argue you're just being vindictive. Plus, gift letters for mortgages are rarely verified unless there's a default." He leaned back. "But here's what's interesting. If they used a forged document to obtain a mortgage, that's bank fraud. Federal crime. Banks don't like that. What can we do with it? Right now, nothing. We need more. We need a pattern. One forged signature is a mistake. Multiple instances of fraud is a conspiracy." I felt the cold focus sharpen. Then we find more. That weekend, I did something I'd never done before. I created a fake Instagram account and started following Madison. Not obviously. I used a random woman's photo, gave it a generic name, followed a few hundred other influencers to make it look real. Madison's posts were public, but her stories were more revealing. She posted constantly, behind-the-scenes footage, quick updates, casual thoughts. On Saturday, she posted a story from a coffee shop. "Just had the best meeting with Emily about the new campaign. Big things coming." I recognized the coffee shop. It was in Cambridge, near Harvard. On Sunday, she posted, "Brunch with the bestie, planning world domination LOL," with a photo of her and Emily Reed, the PR partner Hale had mentioned. I saved everything. Monday morning, my phone rang. Unknown number. "Michael Rourke?" A woman's voice, professional. "Yes." "This is Jennifer Walsh from Bexley Capital Management. I'm calling regarding your son Ryan. We're updating our employee records and need to verify some information. You're listed as owning property at 847 Commonwealth Avenue in Southie. Is that correct? Why are you asking? It's listed on Ryan's financial disclosure forms as a family asset. We require full transparency about employee holdings and potential conflicts of interest. I felt my jaw tighten. That property is mine alone. It's not a family asset. Ryan has no ownership stake, and I never authorized him to list it as such. Silence on the other end. Then, I see. Thank you for clarifying. We'll make a note of that. She hung up. I immediately called Hale. They're escalating, he said when I explained. Ryan told his employer that he has partial ownership of your property. That's fraud again. It also means he's probably planning to use it as collateral for something. Can we stop him? We can expose him. Better than stopping him. We let him keep going, keep making mistakes, and then we document all of it. When the time comes, we have everything we need. The call from Bexley Corporate made something shift. Ryan was actively lying about owning my home. He wasn't just planning to take it. He was already treating it as his. That evening I received an email from a company called Senior Living Solutions. The subject line, following up on our conversation. I hadn't had any conversation with them. The email was cheerful and professional. Dear Mr. Rourke, thank you for your inquiry about our assisted living facilities. As discussed, we have several options that would be perfect for your needs. I've attached brochures for our locations in Quincy, Newton, and Dedham. All offer excellent care, activities, and community. Please call me to schedule a tour. Attached were glossy PDFs showing smiling seniors doing yoga and playing cards. I forwarded it to Hale. His response came back in minutes. They're building a paper trail. Someone is contacting these places in your name, creating evidence that you are seeking assisted living. This will support a conservatorship claim. Do not respond to the email. Do not call them. I'll handle it. The next morning, 3 more emails arrived. Memory care facilities, independent living communities. One even specialized in cognitive decline support. I felt sick. They were constructing a narrative. Michael Rourke, recent widower, showing signs of confusion and decline, reaching out for help but too proud or too confused to follow through. His loving children, worried about him, trying to assist. I screenshotted everything and sent it to Hale. Good, he replied. Keep every single one. Don't delete anything. This is evidence of fraud. On Wednesday, Madison posted a new video. It was longer than her usual content, almost 8 minutes. She was sitting in her apartment, no makeup, hair in a messy bun, vulnerable influencer mode. Hey everyone, I need to be real with you for a minute. She took a deep breath. My mom passed away recently. It's been really hard, and my dad is not handling it well. He's always been kind of intense, but lately he's been acting really erratic. He made a scene at my brother's wedding. He's saying things that don't make sense. We're worried about him. She wiped at her eyes. If you have aging parents, please watch for signs of cognitive issues. Confusion, aggression, paranoia. It's so hard to watch someone you love decline. But you have to help them, even if they don't think they need it. We're doing everything we can to support Dad, but he's resisting. It's heartbreaking. The comments flooded in. Sympathy, shared stories, people praising her bravery. A few people asked questions. One comment, have you considered that your dad might just be grieving and you're pathologizing normal emotions? Madison responded, thank you for your concern. Trust me, this is beyond grief. We have documentation. I watched the video 3 times. She was good. She looked genuine. She probably believed parts of what she was saying. But I noticed something else. In the background of the shot, on her kitchen counter, there were papers. The camera wasn't focused on them, but I could make out a logo. Senior Living Solutions. I took a screenshot, zoomed in. The papers were the same brochures I'd been emailed. She was staging evidence while pretending to be vulnerable. I sent it to Hale. "Perfect," he replied. "She just proved that she's coordinating this. Keep that video. Download it in case she deletes it." That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in Nick's borrowed apartment, staring at the ceiling, thinking about my children. When had they become these people? Had they always been this way, and I'd been too busy working to notice? Or had something broken in them after they left home? Linda would know. She'd always understood them better than I did. I got up and made coffee, stood at the window watching the city. It was 3 a.m. and Boston was quiet, just the occasional car passing below. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "You should leave Boston. There's nothing left for you here." I stared at it. No signature. Just that one sentence. I didn't respond. 5 minutes later, another text. "We're trying to help you. Stop being stubborn." Then a third. "This can be easy or it can be hard. Your choice." I took screenshots and forwarded them to Hale. His response: "That's harassment and potentially witness intimidation. Keep your phone on, keep recording everything. Don't respond." I didn't sleep the rest of that night. The next day, I met with Hale again. This time, he'd brought someone else, a lawyer named Patricia Chen, mid-50s, sharp eyes, expensive suit. "Patricia specializes in elder law and estate planning," Hale explained. "I asked her to review your situation." "Mr. Rourke," Patricia said, getting right to it, "your children are planning to file for guardianship over you. They haven't done it yet, but all the pieces are in place. The social media posts creating a narrative of decline, the emails to care facilities in your name, the incident at the wedding which they can claim was erratic behavior. Can they win? Not if you fight it. You're clearly competent. You have no diagnosed conditions. You're managing your own affairs, but the process itself is invasive and expensive. They know that. They're hoping you'll give up rather than go through it. I won't give up." She smiled slightly. "Good. Because I think we can do better than just defending. I think we can go on offense." She laid out papers on the desk. "Everything you've documented, Ryan's false claims about property ownership, Madison's fraudulent charity claims, the forged signature on the mortgage gift letter, the harassment texts. It's all building towards something. We can file a restraining order based on harassment. We can report the fraud to the relevant authorities. We can make their lives very difficult." "But," Hale interjected, "if we do that now, we tip our hand. They'll lawyer up, they'll stop making mistakes. We'll be in a legal battle that could take years." "So what do we do?" I asked. Patricia and Hale exchanged a look. "We wait for them to make the big move," Patricia said. "They're planning something. The wedding confrontation was impulsive, but everything since has been calculated. They're building toward a climax, probably a formal guardianship filing or an attempt to physically remove you from your property. When they make that move, we'll be ready, and we'll have documented everything they did to get there." I moved back into my apartment in Southie. Nick tried to talk me out of it, but I insisted. This was my home. I wasn't going to hide. Besides, I wanted them to know where I was. Let them make their move. I installed security cameras, small ones, hidden in the hallway and near the door. Legal, since it was my property. Everything recording to cloud storage. I changed the locks. And I waited. 3 days passed quietly. I went about my life, grocery shopping, morning walks. I even attended a union retiree meeting just to have witnesses to my completely normal behavior. On the 4th day, Ryan called. I answered. "Dad." His voice was tight. "We need to talk." "About what?" "About this situation, about Mom's passing, about the apartment." He paused. "Can we meet? Just you and me. No lawyers, no drama. Father and son." Every instinct told me it was a trap, but I needed to know what he was planning. "When and where?" "Tomorrow, 10 a.m. There's a coffee shop on Broadway near your place. Parlor Coffee. I'll be there." I immediately called Hale and Patricia. We met that evening to strategize. "He's going to try to get you to sign something," Patricia said. "Or he's going to record the conversation and try to make you sound confused or incompetent. Don't sign anything. Don't say anything about memory problems or confusion, even as a joke. Record everything on your phone," Hale added. "Massachusetts is a two-party consent state, so tell him at the beginning that you're recording. If he objects, leave. If he stays, everything he says is on record." "What's the goal here?" I asked. "Information," Hale said. "Let him talk. Let him make his pitch. See what he reveals about their plans." The next morning, I arrived at Parlor Coffee 5 minutes early. Ryan was already there, sitting at a back table with 2 cups in front of him. He'd ordered for both of us, black coffee for him, regular with cream for me. He remembered. "Dad." He stood up, awkward. "Thanks for coming." I sat down, pulled out my phone. "I'm recording this conversation. For my own records. Is that okay?" His face tightened. "Is that really necessary?" "Yes." "Fine. Whatever." He sat back down. "Look, I want to apologize for how things went at the wedding. Ava was out of line. I should have stopped her." "But you didn't." "No, I didn't." He rubbed his face. "Things have gotten complicated. Ava's family has expectations. Her father has been very generous with us, but there are strings attached. He expects me to project a certain image, to have certain assets. Like my apartment. It's not like that." But his voice said it was exactly like that. "Dad, you're alone in a 3-bedroom apartment. You're retiring. You don't need all that space. And we're starting a family. We need room. Buy your own place." "We have a place. But Trevor wants us to have more. He wants us to have property, investments, something to show that we're building generational wealth." Ryan leaned forward. "You don't understand how this world works. Image matters. Perception matters. Having a father-in-law who's a major developer means living up to certain standards. So lie to him. Tell him you have the apartment. You've already lied to your employer." His face flushed. "How did you—" "I know a lot of things, Ryan. I know about the forged gift letter. I know about you listing my property on your financial disclosures. I know about the emails to senior living places." He stared at me. The coffee shop around us was busy with morning rush, but our table felt isolated. "You've been investigating me?" His voice was low, dangerous. "You've been robbing me. I'm just documenting it." "Robbing you? Dad, we're family. We're trying to help you transition into the next phase of your life." "By forging my signature? By committing mortgage fraud? By harassing me?" "I don't know what you're talking about." "Yes, you do." I kept my voice level. "You want to know what I think? I think you're in over your head. I think you married into money and now you're desperate to prove you belong. I think Trevor Collins looks at you and sees someone he can control. And I think you've convinced yourself that stealing from your father is somehow justified because it's for your future." Ryan's jaw worked. "You don't understand. Then help me understand." He looked away. For just a moment, I saw something in his face, shame, maybe, or regret. But it passed quickly. "The apartment is worth about $600,000, he said quietly. "If you sold it and moved into assisted living, you'd have that money for your care. And when you eventually pass, whatever's left would go to us. That's how this is supposed to work. Parents leave things to their children. Your mother left you the rental property upstate. That was worth $300,000. Which we split with Madison. $150 each. That's nothing. Not in this economy. It's more than most people get." He slammed his hand on the table. The coffee jumped. People glanced over. "You don't get it?" His voice was harsh now, the polite son act dropping away. "You worked construction your whole life. You lived in the same apartment for 30 years. You drove the same truck until it literally wouldn't start anymore. You have no idea what it takes to compete in my world. The networking, the clothes, The right address, the right schools for our kids. It's expensive, and we're drowning. There it was. The truth. So you thought you'd take my home to pay for your lifestyle. It's not just lifestyle, it's survival. If I don't keep up, I'll lose my job. Trevor will cut us off, we'll have nothing. Then you have nothing. Ryan left without touching his coffee. He was shaking as he walked out, jaw clenched, fists tight. I sat there for another 20 minutes, making sure the recording was safely uploaded to cloud storage. I forwarded it to Hale and Patricia. Patricia called me an hour later. This is good, very good. He essentially admitted to everything. The forged documents, the plan to take your property, the financial motive. We can use this. When? Soon. I'm going to prepare restraining order paperwork based on the harassment texts and this conversation. We file it tomorrow. That puts them on the defensive. They'll have to respond legally rather than continuing their pressure campaign. But I was thinking about Ryan's face when he left, the desperation in it. They're not done, I said. They're going to escalate. Let them. We're ready. That night, I barely slept. I lay in bed watching the security camera feeds on my tablet. The hallway was empty, the street outside quiet. At 2 a.m., I heard something, a key in the lock, someone trying the door. I got up quietly, grabbed my phone, and moved to where I could see the entrance. The doorknob turned. But the lock held. They didn't have a key that worked anymore. Whispers outside, then footsteps retreating. I checked the camera footage. 3 figures. Too dark to see faces clearly, but I could make out shapes. 2 men, 1 woman. They'd come to enter my apartment in the middle of the night. I called the police, filed a report. The responding officer was professional but skeptical. You didn't actually see who it was, he pointed out. I have video of 3 people trying to unlock my door at 2 a.m. Could have been drunk people with the wrong apartment. In a building with only 6 units where everyone knows everyone? He took the report anyway. Gave me an incident number. I sent everything to Hale. The next day, Patricia filed the restraining order. It named Ryan, Madison, and Ava. It cited the harassment texts, the attempted break-in, the forged documents, and the coordinated campaign to have me declared incompetent. It requested that they stay at least 100 yards from me and have no contact except through attorneys. The judge granted it temporarily, pending a hearing in 2 weeks. When Ryan was served with the papers, he called me immediately. I didn't answer. He called 14 more times. Each call logged, each one a violation of the temporary order. Madison posted on Instagram, "Sometimes you have to make hard choices to protect people you love, even when they fight you. Pray for my dad." The comments were split this time. Some people supportive, but others questioning. One person had posted, "Your dad filed a restraining order against you. Maybe you're the problem." Madison didn't respond to that one. That evening, as I was making dinner, someone buzzed my apartment from downstairs. I checked the camera feed. Trevor Collins stood at the building entrance, alone. I picked up the intercom. "You need to leave. You're named in a restraining order." "Actually, I'm not. Just your children. I'd like to talk. 5 minutes. I'm not here to threaten you." Against my better judgment, I buzzed him in. He climbed the stairs slowly. The building had no elevator. When he reached my door, he was breathing hard. Up close, I could see he was older than I'd thought. 70s maybe, just good at hiding it. "Mr. Rourke, thank you for seeing me. You have 5 minutes." "May I come in?" "No." He nodded, accepting that. "I'll be direct. This situation has gotten out of hand. My daughter and your son made mistakes. They were aggressive when they should have been patient. I take responsibility for that. I put pressure on them to secure assets that they weren't ready to secure." "Is this an apology?" "It's an acknowledgement." He pulled an envelope from his jacket. "This is a check for $100,000. Take it. Drop the restraining order. Agree to a reasonable timeline for transitioning your apartment to Ryan and Ava. Everyone walks away whole." I looked at the envelope. You think you can buy me? I think everyone has a number. This is mine. Then you don't understand what's happening here. I understand perfectly. You feel disrespected. You want your children to suffer for how they treated you. This is revenge, pure and simple. He held out the envelope. But revenge is expensive, Mr. Rourke. Legal fees, stress, time. Take the money. Move to a nice place. Let them have the apartment. In 5 years, you won't care. In 10, you'll be relieved you don't have to maintain a property. I looked at Trevor Collins, at his expensive suit, his confident posture, his certainty that everyone could be bought. Get out, I said. Mr. Rourke, you have 10 seconds to leave this building before I call the police and tell them you're violating the restraining order by proxy. I'm not named in the order. You're acting as an agent for those who are. That's a violation. Now get out. He studied me for a moment, then tucked the envelope back into his jacket. You're making a mistake, a costly one. Maybe, but it's my mistake to make. He left. I watched him on the cameras as he descended the stairs and exited to the street. A black Mercedes waited for him. He got in and it drove away. I called Hale and told him everything. Record of attempted bribery, he said. Even better. But Michael, he's right about one thing. This is going to get expensive. Legal fees add up fast. Are you sure you want to keep going? I'm sure. Then we need to start thinking about the endgame. We can't just defend forever. We need to go on offense. Really hit them where it hurts. What did you have in mind? Let me make some calls. I think it's time we brought in some other interested parties. People who don't like fraud. People with subpoena power. The restraining order hearing was scheduled for 2 weeks out. In the meantime, Hale had been busy. He'd contacted the Massachusetts Attorney General's office about Madison's charity fraud. He'd spoken to the SEC about Ryan's false financial disclosures. He'd filed a complaint with OSHA about Trevor Collins's construction safety violations. We're lighting fires, he explained. Multiple agencies, multiple investigations, even if nothing criminal comes of it, the scrutiny alone will damage them. Ryan's firm will have to suspend him pending investigation. Madison's sponsors will drop her. Trevor's projects will face additional oversight. Is this legal? I asked. Perfectly. We're reporting actual crimes to the appropriate authorities. That's not harassment, it's citizenship. Patricia had also been working. She'd subpoenaed records from Senior Living Solutions, the company that had emailed me. Their logs showed that the inquiries had come from Madison's IP address. She'd been the one pretending to be me. More evidence for the file. 3 days before the hearing, Madison showed up at my apartment. She bypassed the buzzer system by following another resident in through the building entrance. She knocked on my door. I checked the camera. She was alone, looking nervous. I called Hale. Madison's here. What do I do? Record everything. Tell her she's violating the restraining order and ask her to leave. If she refuses, call the police. Don't let her in. Don't engage beyond that. I opened the door a crack, phone recording. You need to leave. You're violating the restraining order. Dad, please, I need to talk to you. Her eyes were red. I'm losing everything. My sponsors are dropping me. People are sending me messages. Someone found out about the charity thing and it's all over Twitter. My career is over. You did that to yourself. I know I messed up. But Dad, I'm your daughter. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. She was crying now. I just wanted you to be proud of me. I wanted to be successful like Ryan. I got caught up in it and I made bad choices. For a moment, I felt something shift. She was still my daughter. Still the little girl who used to sit on my shoulders at the park. Then I remembered Linda's empty funeral, the stripped apartment, the forged documents. You had a choice at every step, I said. You chose to lie. You chose to steal. You chose to humiliate me. Now you have to live with those choices. I'll make it right. I'll tell everyone the truth. You're here because you're losing your income, not because you're actually sorry. If you were winning, you wouldn't be at my door. She stared at me. That's not true. Yes, it is. Now leave, or I'm calling the police. You really hate us now, don't you? No, I'm just done pretending we're a family. I closed the door. She stood there for another minute, crying, then left. I forwarded the recording to Hale. Another violation, he confirmed. That's 2 now. The judge won't be happy. The night before the hearing, I couldn't sleep. I stood at my window, looking out at Southie. I'd lived in this neighborhood for 30 years. I'd raised my children here. Linda and I had built our life here. Now I was fighting to keep it from those same children. My phone rang. Nick Romano. How are you holding up? He asked. Tired. I heard about the hearing tomorrow. You need anything? No. Patricia and Hale have it covered. Michael, I want you to know something. Whatever happens tomorrow, you've already won. You didn't let them break you. You fought back. That takes courage. I don't feel courageous. You are. Trust me. He paused. Linda would be proud of you. That hit harder than I expected. I had to take a breath before I could speak. Would she? I'm destroying our children's lives. You're holding them accountable for their choices. That's different. Linda would understand that. We talked for a few more minutes, then hung up. I went to bed but didn't sleep. The hearing was at 9 a.m. in Suffolk County Superior Court. Patricia met me outside, briefcase in hand. Ready? She asked. As I'll ever be. Ryan and Ava arrived with their lawyer, a sharp-looking woman in her 40s. Madison came separately with a different attorney. Trevor Collins sat in the back of the courtroom, observing. The judge was a woman in her 60s, Judge Martinez. She had a reputation for being no-nonsense. Ryan's lawyer spoke first, arguing that the restraining order was excessive and vindictive, that Ryan and Madison were simply concerned about their father's well-being, and that the attempt to enter the apartment had been a misunderstanding. Then Patricia stood. Your Honor, Mr. Rourke's children have engaged in a systematic campaign to defraud him and take his property. We have evidence of forged documents, false statements to financial institutions, harassment, and attempted break-ins. This isn't concerned children helping an aging parent. This is theft. She laid out everything. The forged gift letter, the false property claims, the fake emails to senior living facilities, the harassment texts, Madison's violations of the temporary restraining order. The other lawyers objected repeatedly, but Patricia had receipts for everything. Judge Martinez listened carefully, reviewing documents. Finally, she looked up. I'm making the restraining order permanent. The respondents are to have no contact with Mr. Rourke except through attorneys. I'm also referring this matter to the Attorney General's office for investigation of potential fraud. She looked at Ryan and Madison. You may be concerned about your father, but your actions have been inappropriate at best and criminal at worst. This order stands. The gavel came down. Ryan's face went pale. Madison started crying. Their lawyers immediately began arguing about appeals. I stood up and walked out. Patricia caught up with me in the hallway. That went as well as we could have hoped. It's not over, though. No, but we have legal protection now. They can't touch you. My phone buzzed. A text from unknown number. Congratulations. You just made things much worse for yourself. I showed it to Patricia. Forward that to Hale. That's another violation. They're digging their own graves now. But as I walked out of the courthouse into the bright morning, I felt something strange. Not victory, not satisfaction, just emptiness. I'd won the battle, but I'd lost my children in the process. Was it worth it? I thought about Linda's funeral, about coming home to a stripped apartment, about Ava's slap, about Ryan's desperate confession that he was drowning. Yes, it was worth it, because they'd made their choices, and now I was making mine. The morning after the hearing, I received a call from a number I didn't recognize. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Mr. Rourke, this is Caroline Foster from Boston Business Journal. I'm doing a story about the Collins Development Group, and came across some interesting legal filings involving your family. Would you be willing to comment? How did you get my number? Public records. Your name came up in connection with several ongoing investigations. I'd love to hear your side of things. I hung up and called Hale. Don't talk to reporters, he advised. Not yet. But this is actually good. The story is getting out. Pressure is building. Over the next few days, things accelerated. The Attorney General's office opened formal investigations into both Madison's charity fraud and Ryan's false financial statements. Bexley Capital placed Ryan on administrative leave. Trevor Collins's company had 3 of its active construction projects temporarily halted for safety re-inspections. Madison's Instagram following had dropped by 200,000. Sponsors were publicly cutting ties. She'd posted one final video, tearfully apologizing and claiming she'd made mistakes, but had tried to do the right thing. The comments were brutal. I watched it once, then deleted the app from my phone. I didn't need to see her pain. I'd seen enough. 3 weeks after the hearing, Hale called with news. Trevor Collins is selling the family estate, the one in Dover. Apparently, he needs to liquidate assets to keep his business afloat. What estate? His personal residence. 25-acre property, 8,000-square-foot house. Been in the Collins family for 40 years. It's going to auction next month. Something clicked in my mind. Where? Public auction. The Ritz downtown. They're trying to make an event of it, attract high-end buyers. An idea began to form. Dangerous, probably stupid, but satisfying. Can you find out the expected price range? I asked. Michael, what are you thinking? Just get me the information. He called back an hour later. Estimated between 3 and 4 million. But in this market, who knows? Why? I need you to connect me with Nick Romano. Michael, just do it. That evening, I met Nick at his office in the financial district. It was after hours, the building mostly empty. You want to buy Trevor Collins's house? Nick said when I explained. No, I want you to buy it, through one of your companies or foundations or whatever. I'll pay you back eventually. Sell it afterward. I don't care. I just want to be the one who takes it from him. Nick leaned back in his chair, studying me. That's cold, Michael. They tried to take my home. Turnabout is fair play. It'll cost millions. That's more than you have. I know. That's why I need your help. He was quiet for a long moment. Then he smiled slightly. You know what? Sure. Why not? Consider it an investment. But Michael, you have to be there. You have to be the one who makes the winning bid. Otherwise, what's the point? They'll see me. They'll know. Exactly. The auction was scheduled for a Saturday afternoon. I spent the intervening weeks in a strange state of focused calm. The restraining order was holding. Ryan and Madison had stopped trying to contact me. The investigations were proceeding. My apartment was quiet. I cooked simple meals, took long walks, thought about Linda. She would have told me I was being petty. She would have said that revenge doesn't heal anything. She would have asked me if I really wanted to become someone who destroyed his own children. But Linda wasn't here, and I wasn't destroying them. I was just refusing to be destroyed by them. The auction was held in a ballroom at the Ritz-Carlton. Black tie event, champagne and hors d'oeuvres, wealthy buyers circulating, catalogs in hand. I wore the same tuxedo I'd worn to Ryan's wedding. It felt appropriate. Nick had arranged for me to bid through his foundation's account. Everything legal, everything documented. I had his authority to bid up to 4.2 million. I arrived early, found a seat in the back. The room filled slowly. I recognized some faces from the wedding. Boston society, old money, new money, all of them circulating and networking. Then the Collins family arrived. Trevor first, looking older than I remembered. His wife Claire beside him, elegant and frozen-faced. Ava, and with her, Ryan. They took seats near the front. Ryan saw me. His face went white. He leaned over to his father-in-law, said something. Trevor turned, looked. His jaw tightened. They couldn't do anything. The restraining order was still in effect. We were in a public place with 200 witnesses. Madison slipped in just before the auction started. She wore sunglasses inside. Her hair was different, shorter. She looked thin. She didn't look in my direction. Maybe she didn't know I was there. The auctioneer took the stage, explained the rules. The estate would be sold to the highest bidder, sight unseen for anyone who hadn't attended the preview days. Bidding started at $2.5 million. 3 paddles went up immediately. 2.6, 2.7, 2.8. The bidding was fast. These people knew what they wanted. At $3 million, half the bidders dropped out. At 3.2, only 5 remained. I hadn't bid yet. At 3.5, Trevor turned around again, looking for someone. His expression was strained. 3.6, 3.7, 2 bidders left besides me. At 3.8, I raised my paddle. The room stirred. People turned to see who the new bidder was. Trevor stood up. Who is that bidding for? The auctioneer checked his list. Romano Foundation. Trevor's face went gray. He turned and saw Nick standing near the bar watching calmly. Ryan grabbed his father-in-law's arm. They were arguing in fierce whispers. 3.9, another bidder called. I raised my paddle. 4 million. Silence. The other bidder shook her head and lowered her paddle. 4 million going once, the auctioneer said. Trevor stood. I'm withdrawing the property from auction. Sir, you can't do that. The auction has begun. I don't care. This is a setup. That man... He pointed at me. That man has a restraining order against my family. He's harassing us. The auctioneer looked confused. Sir, this is a legal auction. The bidder is representing a registered foundation. Unless you can prove fraud... 4 million going twice, the assistant auctioneer prompted. Trevor looked around wildly, at Ryan, at Ava, at his wife, at the room full of Boston's elite, watching the spectacle. Sold, the gavel came down, to Romano Foundation for $4 million. The room erupted in applause and murmurs. I stood up. Trevor saw me. His face went from gray to purple. You, he said. His voice carried across the room. You did this. I walked toward the front. People parted for me. Ryan stepped in front of me. Dad, don't do this. Do what? Buy a house at auction? That's legal, Ryan. Unlike forging documents. You're taking everything from us. No, I'm taking one thing from Trevor Collins. You still have your job. Eventually. Madison still has her platform. Maybe. You still have each other. You'll be fine. Madison had removed her sunglasses. She was staring at me with something between horror and understanding. Trevor stepped forward. For a moment, I thought he might actually hit me. But Nick appeared at my shoulder, and Trevor stopped. This isn't over, Trevor said. Yes, it is. I pulled something from my pocket. The apartment keys. The ones Ava had demanded at the wedding. I held them up so everyone could see. You wanted these so badly, I said to Ryan. You were willing to lie, cheat, and steal for them. You tried to take my home, my dignity, my life. I dropped the keys into his hand. Now you can have them. I'm selling the apartment, moving somewhere you'll never find. You can lock yourselves out of my life. Ryan stared at the keys in his palm like they were burning him. I turned to the auctioneer. Where do I sign the papers? As I walked toward the auction office, I heard someone start to cry. I didn't look back to see who it was. Nick fell into step beside me. That was quite a performance. I didn't plan that part. It just came out. The best parts usually do. He paused. You okay? I thought about it. Yeah, I think I am. I signed the paperwork, arranged the financing through Nick's foundation, shook hands with the auction officials. When I walked back out into the ballroom, the Collins family was gone. Most of the other guests had left too. Patricia was waiting near the door. I heard what happened. That was risky, but legal. Completely. Then I don't care. I walked out into the cool autumn evening. Boston spread out before me, lights coming on as darkness fell. I'd won. I'd taken everything from them that they tried to take from me. The apartment I'd sell to someone who'd actually appreciate it. The Collins estate I'd let Nick handle. Turn it into something useful, maybe a shelter or a community center. And my children. My children had learned that actions have consequences, that you can't betray someone and expect them to just accept it. That revenge, when it's patient and legal and precise, is just another word for justice. I pulled out my phone, called Nick. "The house," I said. "When everything's finalized, I want you to donate it. Turn it into something good, housing for people who need it, a community center, something Linda would have approved of." "You sure?" "I'm sure. I don't want their house. I just wanted them to know what it feels like to lose something that matters." Michael Rourke, vengeful philanthropist. I like it. I hung up and started walking. I didn't know where I was going, just away from the Ritz, away from the auction, away from the wreckage of my family. My phone buzzed. A text from Ryan. "I hope you're happy." I looked at it for a long moment. Then I replied, "I am." And the strange thing was, it was true.